Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings Kane Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vish, and DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Baseball time, Daddy.
It is your game, man. It is your sport.
Man, and what a beautiful game it is, my friend. What a beautiful game it is.
It was for the back half of the weekend.
Yeah. Although that first game, pitching held up a little bit. It's just the bats kind of went silent. So, and then the second game, I thought it was all over. And then I get home and it's tied at 8. So there you go.
Yes, got home after you
Unbelievable.
exited the light when things looked dire. What was the score when you left? It wasn't even. It got worse
because of that.
I know, but that doesn't mean I'll accuse you of not accusing you of doing so.
That's fine. I'll take it. It's my fault they won. So there you go.
There you go. Yes, Jazz leaves the stadium. Actually, I think it got worse. It was like 5-3 when you left, right? It wasn't even that bad.
It was 5-2. It was 5. No, it was 5-3 because they had just scored in the wild pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it got to 8-3, and things looked dire there for a minute.
Man, the cardiac Canes, baby. The cardiac Canes. Look, I guess that's where we should start off because we're talking about a weekend where Miami needed to win the series, man. They needed to win the series to be in the conversation, as we spoke about, for not only a host, right? Host at the least. We're talking about a possible national seed, right? A national seed in the top 8. And we're still not there yet. Yes, and Melissa had 14 shakes on Thursday night.
She had 2.
Half of one is enough. Okay, you're talking about this one. She threw down 2 shakes. She had the banana, and she had, what was the other one that she had? I don't remember what it was.
Sugar cane. Yeah, sugar cane. Yeah,
one. That's right. You had the, what did you have? The rag arm.
I had the rag arm. Yeah,
you had the rag arm. I had the J row. Pretty good shakes, and then it was all downhill from there. But the good thing is that we held on. We held on until we got home, baby.
Yes, dude. Minor victories.
Right, that's it, man. That's all we can ask for. Oh, boy.
Melissa did ask me at one point because she drove me part of the way that I Ubered from there. She was like, "Do you need to come upstairs?" I was like, "No, I'm still holding it together. I don't need to use your facilities. I'm good here."
Oh,
or downstairs actually, because we're on the top floor. But like, you don't need to stop by. Like, just make sure you don't need to use the van. No, I'm good. I held it together too. Yeah, it was. And then we did go for round 2 the next night. So, we spaced them out by 24 hours. She just, had a couple innings in between there.
I don't know, man. The next night I was okay, thank God. I don't know. I had the maybe it's the what was it? The Grandma Debbie. That's what I had. Grandma Debbie, which was really good.
Maybe it's for people of our age.
Yeah, maybe. How fitting, right?
But then, on Saturday, got all the things were scripted because it was Thursday. Saturday. On Saturday, it was like 4,000 degrees out there, and I was like, if I add dairy to this is
that wasn't
not a good situation. I drank a Powerade instead before I passed out. That was what I consumed at the light on Saturday, which, despite being 10,000 degrees out and sunny, had a lightning delay. So
not only that, but talk about lightning, man. The Canes.
Yeah,
bottled it all up for Saturday and struck often and struck hard on Saturday.
I'll say a couple of things there, right? So this whole weekend was really the season and the team in a nutshell. Friday, or Thursday, game one. Friday easier before you keep screwing the days up. Game one, 3 hits and like 4 million strikeouts, and then the next, it's just everything is so up and down, but the team fights and they don't quit. And Duke going into that 8th inning is thinking they got the series won. It's a big road series win for them, and I will say one difference between the first game and the second game is like the energy in the building in game 2. I think you stood up to leave like with 1 out to go in the ninth, and you're like, no, I'm staying for the last out. It's just this game is over on Thursday, right? And then on Friday, it was complete. It was same margin because it was 8-6.
Yeah,
completely different energy in the. I don't know what was different about it, but like it never felt over.
Right, they had their
the closer in roughed him up. They had to take. He didn't pitch the extras because he was done. But like for whatever reason, there's just more energy in the building there. But this team they fight.
Baseball's a funny sport like that, man. It's a funny sport, sometimes you're on and forget about it, right? And then the next day you can be, a ghost. So it's weird. I mean, I love the fight, and we've said it, Vish.
And, like, it's unbelievable.
This is a different team. I feel like this is a team that has been battle tested and can kind of take the punches and take the blows and can come back and doesn't get phased by it per se, right? You don't see them kind of quit on themselves. You don't see them hang their head, right? They try to come back and they try to, fight, whether it's a win or loss. I mean, you see it. You see the fight in them the whole time. And look, the truth is I'm impressed with the lack of pitching that we have, what the pitching has been able to do, honestly speaking, right? And we can talk trash about how, this guy he's just not Miami, material, or, this kid, I mean, we're using Alejandro Torres too much. We're using this one too much. And we've got some good news on the pitching front that we'll mention here on the show as well. I mean, sort of good news, I guess. Hopefully. All
things considered, yeah.
Right, all things considered. So with Carson Ligon. But we're talking about a team that 106 home runs this year. Tied for second most ever in program history, and it's not a team that you look at and you say, "Wow, this team has 106 home runs." Yeah, they got 106 home runs. They hit the ball really well. We talk about how this one might be a bust and this one might not, and then you get Eddie Villegas, who all of a sudden, goes on a tear the last couple of games. So now you're seeing him start to emerge a little bit again. It's Gino's done a heck of a job with this team, man. I keep saying it, and I wasn't one to really talk about that a lot before, and he's just done. To me, he's done a great job with this team. JD has done an amazing job with what he's had to work with, on the mound as well, considering the injuries, considering the lack of depth and youth, really, in the bullpen, aside from Andrew Walters, of course. It's just, it's something that you like to see. It's something that gives you kind of hope for the postseason, that this team can kind of overcome, certain things. However, you're gonna start getting into, a time in the season where everybody kind of turns it up a notch. The Kings got to do the same thing. They got to turn it up a notch as well. Whether it's in, the ACC tournament, I'm not too concerned about. However, you want a good showing there because it'll give you the opportunity at a national seed. If you don't show out in the ACC tournament, you're not going to get. You still would probably host, but national seed is out the door. Right now, they stand at number 11. Some of the projections have them as the 11th seed all around. I don't like it. It scares me. Number one, you got Tennessee in the projected.
I saw that. I was like, really? Tennessee's the 2? That's kind of messed up.
That's rough. And then if you get out of that, you're playing the 4 seed, right? Potentially. The 4 seed.
I think it's the 6 seed, right? It shouldn't be the 4 seed. 13 plays the 4, 11 plays the 6.
You're right. I'm sorry. The 6 seed. Okay, that helps. That helps me out a little bit because the 4 seed was LSU, and I didn't want to see LSU.
But I think either way, it's not gonna be a fun time in that second round. And unfortunately for the Canes, I honestly, short of like making the final and or winning the ACC tournament, it's really hard see them getting that national seed just because basically 7 of the 8 are locked up right now. And the only one that might not be is Virginia, which, I mean, it's a really hard sell. I know the Canes have been playing better than Virginia. I mean, they won 6 series in a row, right? And they're playing some of the best ball in the country right now. But I
Virginia's
mean, I was there. I was there when the Canes got swept by Virginia, and it's really hard to justify saying, yeah, no, Miami should have the national seed, not Virginia. So, but if they do something big time in the ACC tournament, that can change things. Like let's say they win the ACC tournament, I think then you could say, look, yeah, Virginia swept them, in April, in early April, but look at this now, and this team just won the ACC tournament.
Right.
That you got to get them a national seed. The other thing I think the other thing working against the Canes a little bit in terms of getting to a national seed is there's already 4 SEC teams or something like that, and then this would be the 3rd ACC team. I'm sure they would love to go outside of the region.
You got Florida, Arkansas, LSU, and Vanderbilt.
Right, and then there's 3 ACC teams right now, and so Stanford's the only one that's not one of those. So I think if Virginia plays well in the ACC tournament, their resume is really strong. Their RPI is strong. Again, they swept us. They pretty much have it, so they have to not play. They have to almost open the door. I think the other 7 are kind of locked in regardless of what happens over this weekend.
I think so.
But Virginia could open the door for someone else to sneak in and grab that 8th national seed. I do wonder if they would even allow that to be an ACC team at this point. Like, if Virginia opens the door, would they just be like, look, who outside of this, can we go, get someone else so that there's a little bit more balance?
You had some teams, potentially you had, South Carolina. They
yeah, but I don't think they want to go to another SEC team either. I think they're trying to get outside their region and get a little bit more balance there if they can.
The only team I can see is close to Carolina. That's really it.
And even that geographically. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if there's a good answer there.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's going to be tough for the Canes to get that national seed. I think they took a big step towards getting the regional host, though,
for sure,
last weekend, which is big because we were an example of this last year. The national seed doesn't always win the home regional, so
right. It's going to be tough because this projection is obviously going to change again, of course, but you got some really good teams this year. Sometimes you think about, the tournament, you're like, okay, they've got a couple teams that could really make some noise. I think that this time around, you got at least 8 teams that legitimately, if not more, right? All your top 16 teams in the tournament are all nasty. And then you've got the 2 seeds in a lot of brackets. You got Duke, right? Pretty good ball club, but you got South Carolina. You got Campbell, who's won 41 games this year. You got Tennessee. You got North Carolina, whatever. But you got Oregon State, who's won 2 national titles, and it's just another 2 seed that's strong. In Indiana, Southern Miss, a lot of these teams, UConn, even TCU, that's a 3 seed. Can kind of come out of that. It's going to be tough for them if they face Wake Forest to get out of that. But you got a lot of teams in the tournament this year that can make some noise. And we all saw what happened last year with Ole Miss, right? So it's baseball's funny that way, and you got a lot of teams that can really compete. You got to be on top of your game every single game.
Yeah, and the margins are really small at this stage of the season, and we saw this last weekend. Duke was 2 innings away from probably being a host and us being a 2 seed.
Oh.
And then, 11 innings later, or actually 14 innings later, extras, they just got battered 10-1 in the last Kansas series and go back to Durham completely defeated. It's hey, things just turn all the way around that quickly. And like you said, I keep going back to this when, you complimented Gino, and I think just to add to that, one of the things he's done a really good job of is building depth in the lineup. You mentioned, Villegas is back in there, and maybe the next game he's not, but then now Renzo had a big weekend, right? He hasn't actually played that much. You put him in the outfield. But we still, it's not talking about Farrow and Carrier and Torres and Gabby Gutierrez, all these guys that have had significant impact. Dario Gomez that played significantly, played in big moments this year, that if you need to call on them in the postseason, they're ready for that. They've played that way. So he's built in a ton of depth on this team really outside like Yo-Yo, Kafis, Patelli, every other, and I guess Sear DH, so, but you could potentially play Dorian. He's got backups on top of backups at every position that played a lot. Right. And shout out, man. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. That's why we do the show. Actually, we're like, you know what? No, because Jazz and I, this is our WhatsApp chat verbalized. We're like, you know what? We should do the baseball show too, because we're sitting here texting each other back and forth, and we figured there's other fellow travelers in Canes fandom that would love some baseball talk. So that's why the show exists, man. So thanks for giving us the shout out there. But I mean, so Perez is another one. There's no backup for him, right? But I think about half the starting positions, we played 2-3 guys there significantly. Gives you so much flexibility in terms of, hey, you mentioned how difficult the postseason is. You run into a pitcher that like has a certain style. You can mess with your lineup now and put in players that played a lot this year to attack that pitcher more fluidly. Like he's really done a great job building that depth, and that's something that you mentioned all the home runs. I think part of that is playing matchups and being able to do that. So he's done a great job here, and just unfortunately just outside the national seed, it feels like, but really good job of, again, this weekend. Just the team is resilient. They came back again, and they probably, 0-2 this week would be bad, and might bring in some questions, but really if they win a game, probably lock up a regional host, which is a big step towards hopefully having some success this year in the postseason.
Absolutely. By the way, speaking of that, right, the ACC championship starts for them on Thursday.
Yeah.
They got an interesting draw. They
get Duke again.
They got Duke again.
Couple of road games because it's in Durham, so it's Duke and NC State. Those are both local to that area. So a couple of road games.
But if they can get out of that and then face whoever it is next, the final.
It'll be probably Wake Forest. So
so there you go.
That's
play well. Don't look, terrible. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, last year. Well, it does go to show you though. This game might not matter for hosting because the Canes are pretty solid. Like they're one of the few teams that might be able to play themselves into a national seed. So like they're pretty solid as a regional host at this point. But you recall last year they were national seeds, but still got mercy ruled by Wake in the ACC tournament, and it's it was a sign of, hey, this team isn't playing well, and it's maybe even though the overall resume is still obviously very strong, I think number 5 overall team in the country, that regional failure did not come out of nowhere. And so we're not playing their best baseball at the end of the year. It feels like this is the opposite. Like I said, 6 series wins in a row, and really just showing that ability to rally and dig deep. I think that's what you got to do in the postseason. It's not going to go smooth. You're going to pitch your ace. He's going to get rocked one game. You got to win anyway.
Right.
And vice versa. Sometimes you'll get, Rosario will go out there and mow everyone down. You're like, what the hell is this? Because he's done it twice in the postseason already.
This game is a game of streaks, man. It's a game of streaks, and if you can get hot at the right time, you got an opportunity to win some ball games. So I think that, if they can just have a good showing, I'm good with it, and we can kind of go from there. So.
Yeah, just to talk a little bit about format. So there's pool play. You only play 2 games in pool play. Right. And the winner of the pool advances to a semifinal. So this is the Canes with a 4 seed. They'd match up with the number 1 seed pool, which is Wake Forest, who I think everyone expects to kind of win that pool. So probably going to see Wake Forest and San Jose the Canes make it, but the Canes do have a big advantage because of the way the title. So obviously, you're playing 2 games. It's round robin. It's very easy to see that every team goes 1-1. The Canes win that tiebreaker because it just goes to the higher seed. So the other advantage, which will be huge for the Canes given the pitching situation, is Duke and NC State play tomorrow night, which means the Canes will know which of the 2 games they have to win the pool, because whoever wins the Duke NC State game, the loser's out because they can't win tiebreakers,
right? And
the winner has to beat the Canes to advance. If the Canes win that one game, they're going to advance even if they lose the other one. So they'll know whether to, frankly, throw Zeal Thursday night against NC State or Friday afternoon against Duke before they play that game, because they'll know which one they need to win. And my guess is Rosario will throw the other one. who fortunately he did get hit.
Yeah,
But he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Gino said he was fine, so that's definitely a good sign. Cannot afford to lose another.
No.
And the sucky thing there is he started off bad in that game. They were rocking him. He settled in. He only allowed the 2 runs pitched out of a jam in the first inning, cruised through the second and third, and now which was the last out of the third inning where the comebacker hit him and knocked him out of the game. But he was settling in there. So
speaking of pitching, are you excited about from what you saw on Saturday? Saturday afternoon's game where you got Gallo who came in and threw 3 innings, 3 really solid innings, and then you got Lecarica. I think it was Lecarica, Torres. I mean, did you like what you saw? Does that give you a little bit more, breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief that hey, these guys are starting to kind of lock in a little bit and look like they're pitching a lot better?
Yeah, I mean, Lecarica, Torres, Walters were 3 of those pitchers. Those have been our 3 best all year, and I don't think it's any surprise they came in and did the job there. But I think Gallo across the weekend, this kind of got lost in the big rally on Friday, but he came in the 9th inning after the Canes had cut 8-6 shutdown inning, which was huge. You get up a run there, just like kills all the momentum. Got the Canes right back out there again. They scored the 2 runs to tie the game, and then turns around. What is it like? I don't know. 12 hours later, whatever, has to start the next game. Pitches the first inning, lightning delay, has to sit around for like an hour. Comes out next 2 innings shutout as well. I mean, I think that was really impressive from him. And he's a veteran, so he's been through it. He was at FIU before, right? I think FIU, right? Did he come from FIU?
Torres?
No, Gallo.
No, Gallo's always been.
Oh, he has? I thought he came in from. Okay, so it's Torres and Lecarica came from FIU. Okay, yeah, but he's a veteran pitcher who has. I mean, I feel like it says about several pitchers on the team has a lot better stuff than his ERA.
Right.
Would let you believe. So if he's kind of rounding the corner, and they always say law of averages, if he's had the bad side of that, the good side of that will look really good. And he was big in the 9th inning in game 2, and then getting it started on the right foot in game 3. Yep. The Lecarica, Torres, and Walters have been strong all year. So yeah, there's a little bit of it's hit or miss with some of the other guys like Chestnut and Rafe. Really needing to they're kind of a little bit more inconsistent.
Yeah, I think the Rafe, the hitter that he faced.
There it is, FGCU. I knew Gallo transferred from somewhere.
Oh, he did? Oh crap! I thought he was. I thought he came straight as a freshman. Either way, I think that Rafe. What happened with Rafe? That one hitter that he faced, that lefty, the Texas leaguer, man. The guy he made a great pitch, and the guy hit a blooper right over Rioyo. I'm okay with that. I think that he's pitched better lately.
Yeah, I was more talking about game 2 when he came in and walked in a couple of runs. But then, he came with the bases loaded. It was walk, strikeout, walk, and I think ground out to end the inning. So he wanted 2 runs, not great. But no, but he's someone that the Canes are going to need all of these arms. I Cinta didn't pitch this week, and I'm assuming just there wasn't an injury or anything. I'm assuming, but
it was like he's just out of the rotation per se.
I think I can't. I don't think anyone can be out of the rotation, frankly, at this point. That's any kind of stuff. So it might be a little bit of conserving. It might be also Bill arm conservation. He's a freshman. You don't want to overthrow them, and I think we also got to prepare for. And we've talked about this. Ideally, we win the first 2 games in a regional, so it limits. Maxes you out at 4 possible games you could play. But if we fall in that losers bracket, we only have really 2 starting pitchers, and then we've been going Gallo and whole staff. We'll talk about Ligon in a second, whether or not, but even that he's not going to be able to go long. So
let's talk about it, right?
Okay.
The news came out that I think he threw a bullpen today, if I'm not mistaken, or was going to throw a bullpen today, and could potentially be in line for, a few innings here and there this weekend coming up, or starting on Thursday, I guess, when the ACC tournament gets going, that he could be in line to come in and get some work. Very, very, very minimal work, right? I don't think he's going to be throwing a lot, but it gives him an opportunity to face some live hitters. And if it's an opportunity where he can come in and no pressure, just kind of come in and start an inning off, and the Canes are up, and which I don't know. Lately the Canes haven't been
The reason I'm smiling is because Gino did say, he might be he would be available potentially to come in if we're playing Saturday, which would be against Wake Forest. No pressure, just go in there and play the number one team in the country.
It's the number one team in the country.
Yeah. But no, I think I think all things considered, that's probably a good spot. Go out there and pitch against the best team in the country to get, just to let's see before you go and have him pitch in regional. I think any kind of action this week is big step in the right direction. I think Gino was talking about, maybe a max of 4 innings at this point. He'll definitely be on a pitch count. But if we can, and that's probably the most important reason we need to get to the weekend, so we can get that work in there. And then, if he can come through that without any kind of setback, maybe extend him a little bit longer in regionals, hopefully get past that. And by supers, where you just know you need your 3 guys to go, maybe you can pitch 6, 7 innings and you're kind of back to having him as a starter, because it feels like we're one short, right? Because like you said, Gallo's come back around. He's doing well, and you can piece together a 1-game situation, which the Canes will have to do, but that can't be your game 3 plan every week, and then especially in these postseasons where you can have to play a lot of games. So feels one pitcher short, and that pitcher would be Ligon. So I think it's a big development, because I don't know, I can't speak for you. You certainly give your opinion. I pretty much figured he was going to get shut down at some point and not pitch again this year. So even the possibility is big.
I think you're going to see that if he's okay, if he throws well, then you might see him more. But if he doesn't throw well, even if he's not hurt, I think you might probably see him get shut down for the rest of the season.
Really? See, so the reason I would say normally I would agree with you, but there's just so few arms. I don't see how they can afford to assuming he's not like hurt. Yeah. Obviously he's hurt. And one thing I will say about JD is even a hint of that, he'll sacrifice the season to save the kid's arms. There's no way there's any kind of anything that kid's pitching. Right. But assuming he's physically healthy and it's more mental or what, I don't think they can afford to do that. I guess let's I mean, this is probably a little premature. By the way, we'll definitely have next week at this time we'll have a bracket. Jeez.
Yeah.
So definitely break that down. But at this point, your game 1 starter, assuming the Canes host, which looks pretty likely, so there'll be a 1 versus 4. Who are you throwing in that game?
I think it depends on who those other, the 2, 3, and 4 are.
Well, I don't think you can throw Zeal, though. I think you need to save him, right?
Man.
I almost feel like the answer is it's got to be Rosario, right? Because, again, I think you put him against a 4 seed, I feel like he can kind of his low spin rate, 98-mile-per-hour fastball, I feel like gets like he did the same thing against Presbyterian. He was obviously terrible, but just like those poor kids had no chance against that velocity.
Yeah, I mean, if you face a team,
it's going to be a 4 seed, right? So
it's going to be a 4 seed. It's going to be. I don't know, man. Knowing Gino and knowing JD, they're going to want to get out and just get that first win. And
I'm trying to remember who pitched the first game last year.
I think it was Palmquist, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Ligon.
Could have been Ligon.
All right, live Googling.
Yeah.
It's the most exciting thing. Again, the last year was so messed up with all the rain delays and stuff. I don't know that you can take much from it, but I think you gotta win the first 2 games, right? That's like the big thing.
Right.
Because winning the first and losing the second doesn't necessarily get you anything more than doing it the other way around. So,
well, this is my thing. That's why I think I don't want to say anything. Nothing is guaranteed. But why not throw your best person out there? That was Ligon against Canisius.
Yep, Ligon in the first game and then Palmquist in the second. The reason you don't do that is because winning the first game and losing the second game and losing. Yep, there we go. Yeah. Doing it in any order is still effed. So you want to So you're trying to just say what's the best chance to win both games, and it is to pitch the worst pitcher against the worst team.
Right.
So you generally go with your second guy because again, you got to once you get the first 2 games, you have a big advantage.
Right.
So you generally pitch your second guy in the, assuming again, the Canes are because if it ends up being a 2 versus 3 matchup, then no, you can't afford to do that. You just got to throw your best guy. So that would be Zio. But if you're the 1 seed and you have an overmatched opponent, basically exactly what happened last year. Actually, like Ligon didn't pitch well. Canisius put up 6 runs, but we can score 11 on them, which is what we did, right? I mean, that's the rationale. So you put Rosario out there, even if he gets hit a little bit, which he does tend to eat innings, so you should be able to save unless the ball hits him. So you should be able to save the bullpen some, and then overall he tends to do better against, frankly, less powerful opponents because they can't catch up to his stuff. So I think he's the guy on Friday, and then
I think you're right.
And hopefully he can save the bullpen too for the rest of the weekend because you can just he can eat a bunch of innings there. Hopefully you get out early, get some runs, and just let him. I mean, he's thrown 100 plus pitches in games this year, so you can kind of do that. And if you can come out, get out of Friday with him having won that game in minimal bullpen use, and get to the next game, and then you have you basically deploy the whole arsenal to win game 2. You get Walters from multiple innings, they have to do whatever it is, just everything out there to get to 2-0, and then you just got to win 1 out of 2.
Can we just have a reason to go to Omaha this year, you and I? That's all.
I mean, there's always a good reason. There's good steak there, right? We talked about this.
That's not good for me to fly 1,000 miles to go.
No, and definitely not that time of year, which I'm assuming will be very similar to what I ended up paying to go to Houston. But
yeah, is that one I will go with you?
Okay. Sure, all right. Yeah.
Sure. Anyways, next time this time next week, it is a holiday, so we'll have to kind of see what we do there. But this time next week we'll have the bracket, so we'll share that with you guys as well.
Yep, and then we'll definitely do opponent breakdowns. Maybe we'll do a little quick live react because it's in the middle of the day, and then we'll definitely have probably a more thorough show at night after we. Frankly, they're gonna put a bunch of teams out there we're not gonna know crap about the opponents really unless it happens to be someone we're familiar with. So we have to do a little looking into who the opponents are.
Sounds like a plan. Make sure you guys.
All right, real quick before we end here, how do you think this weekend's going to go? Because we do have the ACC tournament. How do you think the Canes
I think we get out of the first. I think we get out of it, but I think we'll probably, if we play Wake Forest, then I think that's it there. But I think so. Yeah.
I'm on the same page. I think it's kind of one of those get to the semifinals, and that's probably good.
That's good. Yeah, I agree.
Right,
check us out on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have a race this weekend as well as Monaco.
Yes. Doesn't get washed out again. So all right, yeah, we got hit that. That's hitting the apex for those that are wondering what he's talking about.
Make sure you check us out on Wednesday night, but we'll be back out.
Yeah, and also buckets on Wednesday.
That's right, baby. That's right. All right, fellas. All right, see you guys.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.